Hi, my name is Annabelle Anderson, and this is silica column chromatography. The purpose is to separate organic compounds, and it's typically compounds with a low volatility, and it can be used on a wide range of compounds. The method. The method is used to separate crude particles into their different components by using stationary and mobile phases. The stationary phase is usually a solid absorbent with a liquid coating packed in a column. This is typically silica gel. And the mobile phase is the extraction phase. The compounds separate by polarity. The solvent travels down the column to accomplish this, and the first one to elute is the less polar component. There are two typical types. You can use gravity chromatography or flash chromatography. Gravity chromatography is the solvent moves unaided through the tube, and this is typically slower, and you have to observe it very closely. Flash chromatography, force is applied to move the solvent. This is much faster, and the silica gels are smaller. The procedure. So over here I have an example of the tube you have to set up, and so you an overview, you use a funnel with a solvent, and then you add the mixture, the sand, the silica gel, and more sand, and then you have a collecting flask at the bottom. And so how it works is you fill a column about 1/3 with solvent, and the solvent can be a hexane or something similar, and then in a beaker you measure out the required amount of silica, and then a separate flask or beaker you measure the solvent approximately 1.5 times the volume of the silica, and then you add the silica to the solvent a little at a time while swirling, and you use the pipette or a glass rod to mix the slurry. Next, you pour or pipette some of the slurry into the column. You allow the solvent to drain to prevent overflowing, and you tap the column to encourage the bubbles to rise and the silica to settle. And then you continue to transfer the slurry to the column until all the silica gel is added. You rinse the inside of the column by pipetting the solvent down the inside edge. You drain the solvent until the solvent level is just even with the surface of the stationary phase. Then you add 3mm layer of sand on top of the silica to prevent it from moving to the solvent addition. And so now that you've loaded your column with your reaction mixture, you dissolve your reaction mixture in a 1 to 2 millimeter of dichromomethane. You use a pipette to transfer the DCM solution of your product to the column. You let the solvent run just slightly below the surface of the silica gel, and then you add your hexane to elute the column and start to collect the fractions in the test tubes that are fitted in the rack, or in a rack or a flask underneath it. Then you increase the solvent polarity to 20% using hexanes, and you continue to elute the column until the chromatography shows no more product is coming down from the column, and you combined, or it's already in, never mind. And then you evaporate the solvent and transfer the product into a vial, and you weigh and measure it.